गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनाम् उपमश्रवस्तमम्.
I think Ammaji is on mute.
Yeah. Shivakumar ji, can you please unmute?
ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम्. ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन् ऊतिभिः सीदसादनम्. ॐ महागणपतये नमः. नारद उवाच प्रणम्य शिरसा देवं गौरीपुत्रं विनायकं भक्तावासं स्मरे नित्यम् आयुक्कामार्थसिद्धये. प्रथमं वक्रतुण्डं च एकदन्तं द्वितीयकं तृतीयं कृष्णपिङ्गाक्षं गजवक्त्रं चतुर्थकं लम्बोदरं पञ्चमं च षष्ठं विकटमेव च सप्तमं विघ्नराजं च धूम्रवर्णं तथाष्टमं नवमं फालचन्द्रं च दशमं तु विनायकम् एकादशं गणपतिं द्वादशं तु गजाननं द्वादशैतानि नामानि त्रिसन्ध्यं यः पठेन्नरः न च विघ्नभयं तस्य सर्वसिद्धिकरं प्रभो. विद्यार्थी लभते विद्यां धनार्थी लभते धनं पुत्रार्थी लभते पुत्रान् मोक्षार्थी लभते गतिं. जपेत् गणपतिस्तोत्रं षड्भिर्मासै फलं लभेत् संवत्सरेण सिद्धिं च लभते नात्र संशयः. अष्टभ्यो ब्राह्मणेभ्यश्च लिखित्वा यः समर्पयेत् तस्य विद्या भवेत् सर्वा गणेशस्य प्रसादतः. इति श्री नारद पुराणे संकटनाशन गणेश स्तोत्रं संपूर्णम्. ॐ शान्तं शाश्वतमप्रमेयमनघम् निर्वाणशान्तिप्रदम् ब्रह्मा शम्भुफणीन्द्रसेव्यमनिशं वेदान्तवेद्यं विभुम्. रामाख्यं जगदीश्वरं सुरगुरुं मायामनुष्यं हरिं वन्देऽहं करुणाकरं रघुवरं भूपालचूडामणिम्. यन्मायावशवर्ति विश्वमखिलं ब्रह्मादिदेवासुराः यत्सत्त्वादमृषैव भाति सकलं रज्जौ यथा हेर्भ्रमः. यत्पादप्लवमेव भाति हि भवां बोधे स्थितिर्षावतां. वन्देऽहं तमशेषकारणपरं रामाख्यमीशं हरिम्. आर्तानामार्तिहन्तारं भीतानां भीतिनाशनं द्विषतां कालदण्डं तं रामचन्द्रं नमाम्यहम्. ॐ गन्ध ॐ गन्धान् धारयामि। ॐ श्री रामाय नमः। ॐ रामभद्राय नमः। ॐ रामचन्द्राय नमः। ॐ शाश्वताय नमः। ॐ राजीवलोचनाय नमः। ॐ श्रीमते नमः। ॐ राजेन्द्राय नमः। ॐ रघुपुङ्गवाय नमः। ॐ जानकीवल्लभाय नमः। ॐ जैत्राय नमः। ॐ जितमित्राय नमः। ॐ जनार्दनाय नमः। ॐ विश्वामित्रप्रियाय नमः। ॐ दान्ताय नमः। ॐ शरणत्राणतत्पराय नमः। ॐ वालीप्रमथनाय नमः। ॐ नानाविधपरिमलपत्रपुष्पाणि समर्पयामि। दिया भी चला देना घंटी को। ॐ वनस्पतिरसोद्भूतो गन्धाढ्यो गन्धरुत्तमः आघ्रेय सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम्। धूपमाघ्रापयामि। ॐ साज्यं त्रिवर्ति संयुक्तं वह्निना योजितं मया दीपं गृहाण देवेश त्रैलोक्यतिमिरापहं दीपं सन्दर्शयामि। ॐ धूपदीपानन्तरम् आचमनीयं समर्पयामि। नैवेद्यम् ॐ राजाधिराजाय प्रसह्य साहिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे समे कामान् कामकामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः। न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकं नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणि नमोस्तुते। ओम हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। ओम योपां पुष्पं वेद पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति चन्द्रमा वा अपां पुष्पं पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति यानि कानि च पापानि जन्मान्तरकृतानि च तानि तानि विनश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे निकृष्टपापनाशाय प्रकृष्टफलसिद्धये प्रदक्षिणं करोमि त्वां प्रसीद परमेश्वर अन्यथा शरणं नास्ति त्वमेव शरणं मम तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्ष रक्ष महेश्वर। ओम मंत्रपुष्पांजलिं प्रदक्षिण नमस्कारान् समर्पयामि। ओम आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसंपदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् आर्तानामार्तिहन्तारं भीतानां भीतिनाशनं द्विषतां कालदण्डं तं रामचन्द्रं नमाम्यहम् सन्नद्धकवची खड्गी चापबाणधरो युवा गच्छं ममाग्रतो नित्यं रामपातुलसलक्ष्मणः नमः कोदण्डहस्ताय सन्धिकृतशराय च खण्डिताखिलदैत्याय रामायापन्निवारिणे रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः अग्रतः पृष्ठतश्चैव पार्श्वतश्च महाबलौ आकर्णपूर्णधन्वानौ रक्षेतां रामलक्ष्मणौ। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We shall begin our session, our first session now, with our prayers that we have been chanting always. First prayer to Goddess Ganga, the Himalayas, and then Sri Rama, followed by Hanumanji. ॐ सितमकरनिषन्नां शुभ्रवस्त्रां त्रिनेत्रां करदितकलशोद्धृत सोत्फलाभीत्यभीष्टां विधिहरिहररूपां सेतुकोटिरजुष्टां कलितसितदुकूल्हां जाह्नवीं तां नमामि नमामि गंगे तव पादपङ्कजं सुरासुरैर्वन्दितदिव्यरूपम् भुक्तिं च मुक्तिं च ददासि नित्यं भावानुसारेण सदा नराणाम् जय जय गंगे जय हर गंगे 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 ओम ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः कल्याणानां निधानं कलिमलमथनं पावनं पावनानां पाथेयं यन्मुमुक्षोः सपदपरिपदप्राप्तये प्रस्थितस्य विश्रामस्थानमेकं कविवरवचसां जीवनं सज्जनानां बीजं धर्मद्रुमस्य प्रभवतु भवतां भूतये रामनाम मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं मनसा स्मरामि श्रीरामदूतं वचसा वदामि श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि ओम रामायणं वाल्मीकि रामायणं is considered to be a Mahakavya. Kavya is poetry. Mahakavya is great poetry. The greatest poetry. The greatest poetry ever written. And it is not only called Mahakavya, it is an Adi Kavya. Adi means the first. Ramayana is really the first poetic literature that goes back to over 10,000 years ago, as dated by the historians. And if you ask this tradition, the scholars of this tradition will take it further back, way further back. And so here A study of Valmiki Ramayanam is really the study of the greatest classic that you can expose yourself to. Here I would like to let us look at, being a classical work, a poetic literature, a masterpiece of a poetic literature, we need to understand every word of what Valmiki Ramayanam is. And so to begin with, the word Ramayana itself is made up of two words, Rama and Ayanam. And here, Ramaha ayate pratipadyate anena iti Ramayanam. Rama is revealed by which work? Ramaha pratipadyate anena, by which work Lord Rama is revealed, is presented, is understood. That work is called Ramayanam. Another meaning is Ramasya Ayanam Vartma. Ayanam refers to a path, a movement. Ramasya Ayanam, the movement of Lord Rama in time. When you talk about a movement, it is always in time. When the timeless being, the infinite being, moves in time through time, that episode, that story, that storyline which moves through time is called Ramayana, And here another meaning which is presented is Ramayaha Lakshmi Rupayaha idam Ramam cha tat ayanam cha. This is a compound, Karmedharaya compound. And so Ramayaha, so Lakshmi Rupayaha, it is a story, which belongs to who? Sita Devi herself. Is a story of Sita Devi, and that idam Ramam cha tad ayanam cha. It's a storyline of Lord Rama and Sita Devi, Narayana and Narayani. And so here the word Rama is a Rudyartha. Rudyartha means a popular name, Rama. We have so many Ramas, We have Parashurama and this Rama, that Rama, Hari Rama. In India, Rama is a very, very common name given to a child. So what does Rama mean? It can be taken as a mere name, or grammatically, it comes from the root Ram. Ram. What is Ram? Ramu Kridayam. In Dhatu Patha, in the classical dictionary of roots, Sanskritam roots, Sanskritam which has 2,200 roots, based on which is formed a language with millions of words, literally millions of words formed out of 2,200 roots. In that, one root is Ramu Kridayam. Ramu Kridayam is actually Ram. That Ramu is a technical thing there. It's a Ajanunasika, and therefore it is a It Tasya Lopaha. This is for my Sanskritam grammar students. And so what we really end up with is Ram. And Ram means to revel, Kridayam, to revel. Ramate Yasmin iti Ramaha. Ramate Yasmin means in whom people revel. In whom does a person revel? Every human being on earth, in what do you revel? Please tell me. You revel only in a source of happiness, a source of peace, a source of happiness. In that you revel, is it not? And so here, Lord Rama is that source of happiness. He is looked upon as an incarnation, a divine incarnation on earth, and this incarnation that walked the life of dharma in a human form with all human life challenges. And so when you revel in Lord Rama or in Lord Rama's life, you get to imbibe, you get to see the profundity of a human life. For us, our life is very monotonous, very mundane, is it not? Children will say it is boring. Adults will say it is monotonous. It is mundane, it's ordinary. Well, not if you have Lord Rama in your heart. Not if you revel in Lord Rama as your hero, as your icon, as the person you want to emulate, not imitate, okay, emulate. And so with that as him as my model, with Sita Devi as my model, I can make my life really divine, special, position it in a higher framework of living joyously. And so Lord Rama is really the one we talk about as the source of peace and happiness. And so with this, Ramayana in the Indian poetic literature is considered a itihasa. Puranas are different. When we did Govindashtakam, Hamsa Gita, not Govindashtakam is not part of Bhagavatam, but Hamsa Gita was. And I mentioned to you, Bhagavatam is a Purana. It comes under the mythological literature of India, whatever that means to us. Ramayana and Mahabharata are classified under itihasa. Itihasa. Iti means thus, ha means indeed, asa means was. Thus indeed it was. You get that? Iti ha asa. Thus indeed it was. This very clearly declares that Ramayana is a story of Lord Rama, which is a history. It is part of Indian history. It's part of the history of this land. It is a journey through time, and therefore there is a physical location. There is a physical society, a civilization, and there are actual people who lived, and the story actually took place. This is called a history. Am I right? And therefore, there is a place called Ayodhya. There is a lot more to follow. We are going to see. It's an amazing history, not written in a boring manner. History is the most boring subject, at least I felt in my school days. Never could I remember. All those dates, what happened in 11,100, what happened in 1200 AD, what happened in 1300, 1500. Who wants to know? that kind of Indian history, do you want to know? Muhammad Ghazni came and this one came. I don't want to know why they came. First of all, why did they come? I don't want to know all the damage they did. I don't want to know how many times they attacked the country, how much they looted, how much they destroyed, how much they burned. I don't want to know. Well, that's why I always came out with very poor marks in my history exams in school. I didn't want to know. I had a deep resistance inside me. I don't want to remember those dates. The most boring and irritating and annoying history we learn in our school days. I wish they would give us better history of Bharat when we have such a rich history. Valmiki's history is not written in a prose, it is written in a poetry. It is a kavya, and therefore Ramayana is a kavya. Kavya means a historical poem. The ancient, the most archaic, magnificent historical poem is Valmiki's Ramayana. And I would say, if the culture of this land is still alive, if this civilization is not wiped away from the earth as part of a library, it is a live civilization. I greatly attribute that to the presence of Lord Rama and Sita Devi in the consciousness of the people of this civilization. As long as Lord Rama rules the consciousness, collective consciousness of the people of Bharat, we have hope. We have hope as a culture to see ourselves into the future, really. It is one epic. Ramayana is that one epic which has influenced the entire civilization for thousands of years. Thousands of years. It is one story where you can listen to 100 times, watch 100 plays, all the art, the music, the dance, the fine arts, the performing arts, the architecture, art, sculpture of India is primarily interwoven with the stories of two avatars, Sri Rama and Sri Krishna. And so here Sri Rama is that avatara. His influence spread in those days to Bali, to Thailand, to Indonesia. Even to this date, you can see the culture of those people, how they live, revel in Ramayana. And so here we are really in for a very beautiful journey together. As I mentioned, it is a Adi Kavya, the first poetic literature belonging to the Solar dynasty, the people of the Solar dynasty or Surya Vamsha. It has 24,000 verses only. 24,000 verses in 500 chapters, and I had mentioned elsewhere that it is divided into 24 units of 1,000 verses each. And at the end of each verse, each unit starts with a successive syllable of Gayatri Mantra. Each unit begins with the successive syllable of the Gayatri mantra, and therefore when you complete a Parayanam, a reading of Valmiki Ramayana, you have silently covered the Gayatri. One Gayatri recitation, and Gayatri recitation is as good as recitation of the 4 Vedas. And so Ramayana is given such a sacred place in our country, in our culture, and the readings of Ramayana is integral to daily living of many people. Many homemakers, they spend time with daily Parayanam, daily recitation of Ramayana. They will chant Sundarakanda and so on. It's a very common thing to be reciting Ramayana. In Kerala, there is a time of the year when Ramayana is recited. So, all over, in north, in Himalayas, from south to the northern regions, every village will have Rama Katha being sung and the villagers will partake and so on. It is a very live, vibrant, beautiful devotional culture, and the Kathakaras, people who do Rama Katha, are really, they are revered as if Lord Rama himself is sitting there sharing his teachings, you know. There is tremendous reverence for this Rama Katha, listening to Ramayana and purifying your own life, bringing devotion into your own existence by seeing how always Dharma wins. And the role of Hanumanji and Sita Devi, Lakshmana, there is just so much for us to draw from this great literature. Valmiki is not the only one who wrote Ramayana. We have Adhyatma Ramayana in Sanskritam. We have Ananda Ramayana. There is Vashishta Ramayana. There is Agastya Ramayana. There is Kamba Ramayana. There is Tulasi Ramayana. There is Kirtivasa Ramayana in Bengali. And therefore there is Bhaskara Ramayana. So many, you know, you have this Erudachan's Ramayana in Malayalam. You have many versions of Ramayana, but whatever be the Ramayana, every poet in their regions, they wrote the stories, but all of them, whatever they take, they give their reverence to sage Valmiki as the Adi Kavi, as the original poet, the great scholar, and the visionary who was blessed with the vision of Sri Rama's story. And so here we have a few more things I would like to share about what is a poetic literature. Please understand, this land is a land of the greatest knowledge traditions. And our knowledge traditions are written in different form, in prose, in poetry, in sutra, and so on and so forth. And we have Kavya itself we need to understand to recognize what is Valmiki Ramayana. Kavya or poetry in this tradition is presented in 2 forms. One is called Drishya Kavya, the other is Shravya Kavya. Poetry that is seen in a play like Shakuntalam is a Drishya Kavya. And seen poetry and heard poetry. Remember, those days written poetry was not, it was heard. So Drishya and Shravya. And this Shravya Kavya, It was written in the form of prose or padya, poetry or padya, and prose or gadya. Padya and gadya, poetry or prose. And sometimes it would be also mixed, called Mishra, where there is poetry and prose. And here, in the poetry form of writing this literature, we have again two forms, Mahakavya and Laghu Kavya. A poetic literature which is Mahakavya, the great poetry, and there are certain stipulations that form a poetry, a great poetry, a vast poetry, a extensive poetry, or a Laghu Kavya, a small poetry, poetic work. And here Mahakavya, as I said, Valmiki Ramayana is a Mahakavya. And not only Valmiki Ramayana, we have 5 other poetic literature that gains the status of a Mahakavya in this tradition. Please understand this amazing poetic literature, one of which is Raghuvamsha of Kalidasa. Raghuvamsha of Kalidasa, Kumara Sambhava of Kalidasa also has that status of Mahakavya. And third is Shishupala Vadha, another great poetry of the poet Magha. We have Kiratarjuniya of Bharavi, and we have Naishadhiya Charita of Sriharsha. All these great Mahakavyas. What makes a Mahakavya? Why do you call something a Mahakavya? A Kavya is a Mahakavya when it fulfills certain qualifications. It must describe a story of a divine being or the story of a royal hero. Okay, a royal hero. A Mahakavya must have elaborate descriptions, very, very picturesque descriptions of nature. That poet should be able to describe the clouds, the birds, the rivers, the animals. Elaborate, extensive, picturesque descriptions must be seen in the Kavya. Not only that, the Kavya must describe dharma, artha, kama, moksha. All these 4 pursuits of a human being must feature in a Mahakavya. Not only that, it is said it is a Mahakavya when it has certain aesthetic flavor. The tradition talks about Navarasa, 9 kinds of emotions, emotional embellishments. Shringara, Hasya, Virya, Bhayanaka, Raudra, Bhibhatsa. These are the various 9 rasas, Navarasa. But it must highlight, a Mahakavya must highlight minimum 3. One is a Shringara rasa, the sentiment of love, Shringara, which is so beautifully presented by Valmiki in Ramayana. And not only that, Veera rasa, courage, heroism, is really the storyline of Ramayana. We only know in our Bollywood movies, heroism means a muscle strength, yeah? Only muscle strength makes a local hero a hero. But here, heroism is in terms of facing the challenges of the shadows, of the demons, of the asuras, and crossing that, being kind when you face a enemy in a adharmic soul. Then how you face, if you find resistance from a dharmic soul. Hey, I am a good soul. My brother is good, but we fight all the time. Hey, why? A goodness must embrace. Why does goodness fight? Goodness can only fight with evil. Why does goodness fight with goodness? You know something? The why you understand in Ramayana. When Bharata argues with Rama, Sri Rama, when Lakshmana argues with Sri Rama, all of them are dharmic. But somehow Sri Rama seems to carry a dharma bigger than even his own parivara, his family members. And so these very fascinating episodes of dharma you find here, and that courage, vira, and the third sentiment is shanta or peace. All the rasas sit on this peace, a innate intrinsic peace. And so in Ramayana, these rasas are highlighted. They are the mukhya rasa highlighted, therefore Mahakavya. And there is also, it is a Mahakavya because it talks about one clan, a long clan, a big clan, a long clan. Sri Rama, from creation, from the beginning of creation, he is the 38th generation, if I remember correctly. And every generation before him, his whole ancestry is traced. Can you fathom? We don't even know who's our grandfather, some of us. And here, 38 generations of Sri Rama, who lived more than 10,000 years ago, is all seen in this great poetic literature. And not only that, this Mahakavya, written by this Mahakavi Valmiki, and therefore we must understand what was it that inspired Valmiki. Who was this sage Valmiki? Was he a born sage? Who really he was? He was supposed to be the son of Lord Varuna Devata. And therefore he has a divine origin. But we have some unfortunate episode in Valmiki's life. In his young years, of course, later on he became Valmiki, a great sage. And so we have some beautiful stories emerging which describes this Adi Kavi, this great poet who wrote this wonderful work, and with whose blessings and how did he know this story, that whole rahasyam of the beginnings of Valmiki Ramayana we shall see in our coming session. And from there, we will move on to our personal text, which forms the beginning 100 verses of Ramayana. It was this inspiration of this 100 verses, hearing which the great sage wrote Ramayana, 24,000 verses. You are about to see, you're about to learn the first 100 verses that inspired Valmiki to write his Ramayana. And these are the 100 verses that we will be studying for us to be able to be inspired enough to move into the Valmiki Ramayana eventually, of course, on your own. Okay. I will do my part by introducing you to the 100 verses that inspired sage Valmiki, and with this I close for now. Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghurama, जय जय राम जय रघुराम सीताराम श्री रघुराम सीताराम श्री रघुराम पशुपति वल्लभ तारक राम पशुपति वल्लभ तारक राम पाप विमोचक तारक राम पाप विमोचक तारक राम जय जय राम जय रघुराम जय जय राम जय रघुराम सीताराम श्री रघुराम सीताराम श्री रघुराम राम 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 जय जय राम जय रघुराम जय जय राम जय रघुराम जय जय राम जय रघुराम यत्र यत्र रघुनाथ कीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ